Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, Nate Wolf. Good to be here on a bright and early on a Saturday morning doing our Wild set review for Forged in the Barrens.
Morning, everybody. Bright and early on Saturday. Well, over here it's East Coast, so 10 a.m. It's your boy Blakarot. Not as bright as my boy Hydra here.
I think the brightness is mainly this light. It's not even real light. This ain't no window. it's still dark outside over here, man. That might also be the clouds. But good morning, everybody. Hydralisk here. I'm ready for this review. I had last week off due to some other work obligations, but I'm really stoked. Nice to see you guys, and stoked to talk about all these cards.
Awesome. And hey, we're joined by our very good friend, Electric Sheep City. Hey, welcome back.
Meowdy.
Yeah.
Good to see you, friends.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to have you. And before we get started, I want to, on air, on recording, say a big, giant thank you for putting together the spreadsheets that we'll be using today, for tallying up all the scores, and for passing along all the card art to me. It was a gigantic help. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Welcome. I love putting all of these like forms and stuff together. Quick plug, if you want to review along with us, esheep.city/forged. You can do the form with us. You don't have to. It's just a fun way to engage with it. Because I do this pretty much every time. This is how I always engaged before, like meeting y'all and doing this with y'all too. So just a fun way to engage with the cards and kind of get the lay of the land.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay, and then for the people who are watching or listening, really quickly, I want to go over the scoring criteria. So we score the cards from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. So 1 is like garbage, unplayable, terrible, bad, and 5 is like bananas. There's might get nerfed later, chance to be broken. 4 is basically sees play in meta decks. 3 is playable. 2 is sees fringe play. The way that we're going to do this today is kind of go round robin. To avoid doing a 12-hour episode, we assigned out or kind of picked and choose who will cover each class. And then we'll all chime in with our scores and if we've got anything profound to say. But otherwise, we kind of divvy things out a little bit. So I'm excited to get started. Unless anyone else has anything preliminary, then I will pass things over to Sheep.
Good to go.
Cool. All right. So let us get started. We're going in alphabetical order. So starting today with the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, so I will be taking on Demon Hunter. I just recently hit 1K wins with everything except for Demon Hunter. So whether it's good or not, I'll be playing it a lot.
You'll be the first to know.
Okay.
Exactly. So we'll start out Demon Hunter with Fury. Fury is a ranked spell. So it starts out at rank 1. So it's always 1 mana. It's also a Fel spell. We've got these new spell schools. Fel is one of them. So at rank 1, it's give your hero +2 attack this turn. Once you have 5 mana, it upgrades to give your hero +3 attack this turn. And once you've got 10 mana, it upgrades to give your hero +4 attack this turn. I can obviously see this kind of slotting into an odd Demon Hunter. It's not great early game. It's, strictly worse Twin Slice. Late game, it's a more efficient Twin Slice because, you only have to pay 1 mana instead of 2 to get the same effect. Still not great. I think I may end up playing it a tiny bit in odd Demon Hunter just to, try and get more burst damage, but yeah, it's a strictly less consistent Twin Slice. So I'll give it a 2 personally, just because it'll, have a little bit of fringe play for me in particular, because I'm working on those Demon Hunter wins. But by and large, it's a kind of underwhelming card. So for me, this buddy is a big old 2. Hydra, what do you think about Fury?
I also gave this card a 2. It slots into Odd Demon Hunter, as you said, and I just think it'll see fringe play. It could be slotted in sometimes. Maybe it'll be played the odd time here, but 2 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 2 as well. Anybody who's got 10 stars, 9 stars, this is the card for you. I don't see anyone higher to play in this.
I gave it a 1. I just said worst twin slice.
Nice.
Yeah. By and large, that is exactly what that is. But that brings us from Fury over to Razorbor. So Razorbor is a 2-mana 2/2 beast with Death Rattle. Summon a Death Rattle minion that costs 3 or less from your hand. So this is a Wild podcast. We're reviewing stuff for the Wild format. In Standard, maybe this new Death Rattle Demon Hunter has like some sort of purchase. In Demon Hunter, though, does it? Like, there's not that kind of critical mass of class Death Rattles. So, like, again, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to have some fun with it. I'm going to see if I can make that happen because I'm going to be jamming a lot of Demon Hunter, but it costs 2. It's a 2/2. I'm going to give this 2 because I'm going to like try it and see if I can make this new archetype work. But it's not going to be great. Like it's a new archetype, so people will be trying it out, but like it's not going to be a meta deck. And I don't know that I'd, even go so far as to give it a 3 as playable. If it summoned a Death Rattle minion from your deck and not your hand, then I think this card would be much stronger. But it being from your hand means that you have to have drawn the other Death Rattle first. So, solid 2 for me. What do you think, Hydra?
It's an even cost card. It's an archetype that doesn't exist in Wild. I give it a 1. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, this is a 1.
I'm disappointed that this card is not a Hunter card because I really wanted to like it. I mean, it's super cool. New archetype. It's better for Standard. It'd be awesome in Hunter. I give it a 1.
I can co-sign all of that. That brings us to Vilecall. Vilecall is a 3-mana spell with no spell school that reads, summon 2 2/2 demons with lifesteal. The demon tokens are called Ravenous Vilefiend. Of course, they're demons. They're 2-mana 2/2s. So, if there's any sort of evolve effects, they each are 2 mana. I guess maybe fringe noteworthy. This is an odd cost card, but it's 3 mana for 4/4 of stats that doesn't kind of upgrade. And what does Odd Demon Hunter want to do with like lifesteal? You can't run Il'gynoth and Odd Demon Hunter. You're not really going wide with Demon Hunter, particularly in Wild. Like, I want to like this card, but I just don't. This is going to be a big fat 1 for me. What do you think, Hydra?
Yeah, well, I was going to give it a 2, and I'm still going to give it a 2. I'm not going to let you affect me too much there. Yeah, solid 2, just because I think that you do get stats for the mana, and it helps you swarm a bit. But like you said, we don't go wide, really. But I'll stick with my 2. How about you, Mike?
I'm giving this a 1. Just don't like it.
Right on.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Demon Hunter, we're looking particularly at Odd. For me, it's a 4 mana or 4 mana worth of stats for 3 mana, but it's just not what Odd Demon Hunter wants to do. It's just not proactive enough. I'll give it a 1 as well.
Absolutely. That brings us to Sigil of Silence. Sigil of Silence is we're into the rare, so it's a rare card. It's a 0 mana spell. It's a shadow spell school that reads, at the start of your next turn, silence all enemy minions. So again, this is an even card. Cannot slot into Odd Demon Hunter. It's an effect that your opponent knows is going to happen, but it's something that, your opponent plays your opponent's a big priest and plays the statue. Boom, you can just go face. That's awesome. But it's not Odd. And Demon Hunter doesn't have that kind of critical mass of cards to actually enable like the kind of non-odd archetype to flourish quite yet. I want to like this card, but I just don't. This is another 1 from me. Your opponent knows what's coming. It's got counterplay. I if I'm running non-odd Demon Hunter, I can just run Kane, and my opponent doesn't know what's happening. What do you think, Hydra?
Yeah, it's a solid 1 for me. This does not slot into any current deck. So 1.
Yeah, if we had zeros, if we had zeros, I give it a 0. It's definitely a 1 for me.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting effect, and I'm going to say that a lot today. I want to give big shout out to the design team who really kind of did a lot of thinking outside the box this expansion, and so we'll see a lot of really cool things. Unfortunately, they're like cool things that are not like very good. So it's a really interesting effect. It's an even cost, and it gives your opponent warning. Cool design, doesn't fit. I give it a 1.
All right. This brings us over to Tusk Piercer. Tusk Piercer is a 1 mana rare weapon. It's a 1 attack, 2 durability with a death rattle. Draw a death rattle minion. So if Death Rattle Demon Hunter is a thing, it'll be on the back of cards like Tusk Piercer. Tusk Piercer in particular will be able to draw you those Death Rattle cards. It's like aggressive. You can play it on 1 or 2 if you're, hero powering on 1. Also odd. So if you're running odd Demon Hunter with just like Leper Gnomes and some other like really cheap kind of like aggressively statted Angry Bird, Bad Luck Albatross for the uninitiated, it can even slot into that. So like I like Tusk Piercer a lot. I think that I will be playing it in odd Demon Hunter and in that kind of death rattle build. I don't know that it's going to be meta though, so I don't think I can quite give it a 4. But like I think it's very playable. It's very versatile, and it draws, and it's targeted draw. I can't go any less than a 3. I'm going 3 for Tusk Piercer. What do you think, Hydra?
I like that it's odd. I like that it is 1 mana, so it's better than the rogue hero power in general, and it has its death rattle. I don't know how much play it's going to see, so 2 is fringe playable. I still think it's a good card though. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Hydra's the way Hydra just put that. I'm going to put 2 as well. Everything Hydra just put.
Love it. Yeah. Okay. I'll be honest with you guys. I forgot about. I didn't take into consideration the unnerfs, and so jamming Leper Gnome, jamming Albatross into odd Demon Hunter, I think will actually work pretty well. And this pairs with those. I had scored it a 1, but I will upgrade it to a 2. I think that I would like to try it. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that brings us to Razorfin Beastmaster, the last of the rare cards in Demon Hunter. Razorfin Beastmaster is a 3 mana 3/3. It's a Master of Beasts, so it's not a beast itself. With Death Rattle, summon a Death Rattle minion that costs 4 or less from your hand. So again, from your hand, not from your deck. If this was from your deck, this card would be amazing. The fact that it's from your hand means that you have to have drawn that card first. Now, this pairs really nicely with things like Tusk Piercer, which we just reviewed. It gives you tempo. It's never a bad thing to play, even if you're not like able to immediately capitalize on it. This will be a great card in Standard. I got to give it a 2. Like if it summoned it from your deck, I would give it a 3. Tusk Piercer is the thing that'll make Death Rattle Demon Hunter a thing in Wild at all if it is. But this ain't it, Chief. So this is a 2 from me. What do you think, Hydra?
I think it's way too conditional. I like that it's odd, but you would have to go with, it seems like a full Death Rattle theme for this to work in odd Demon Hunter. So I'm going to give this a 1 in this meta. How about you, Mike?
This gets a 1 for me as well. I don't like that it has to come from your hand. If it came from your deck, I look at it differently. So I give it a 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2. I think I compare this to like Void Caller. I've been saying for a long time, like Demon Hunter needs a Void Caller if it's going to try to do Death Rattle, if it's going to try to do big demons or whatever. And so it has the same effect that Void Caller does, but it limits the mana cost. I want to explore this, and the odd cost for me is good. So like, yeah, I mean, this will pull your leper gnome, this will pull your albatross, but like we were saying, you got to draw it first, so it's conditional. I think it will work. I'll settle on a 2 and just move on.
Yeah, that brings us to Sigil of Flame. We're in the epic cards now. So Sigil of Flame is a 2-mana spell school spell that reads, at the start of your next turn, deal 3 damage to all minions. So it's not just enemy minions, it's all minions. This also affects your minions. And that's where you lose me here. Your opponent can play around it. You know, they can not go any wider. They can buff their own things outside of that range on their turn. But also, the kind of like what Demon Hunter wants to do is be aggressive and either go wide or go tall on their own stuff. And this deals damage to all minions. If it was enemies, you know, like you may slot it in randomly to things that aren't odd, but it's all minions. Like, this may enable some archetypes in standard, but I can't see us playing this in wild. I wish I could, but I just can't. So I gotta go 1 for this one. What do you think, Hydra?
I agree with the 1. Maybe you can pop your own death rattles with it if this is a death rattle synergy card, but I'm good. It's a 1. I'm not playing it. What do you think, Mike?
I gave it a 1 too. A 1 as well, because you got to do the whole death rattle thing, and I gave those cards a 1, so I'm staying in line here. 1.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 as well. It's basically a really slow, worse flame ward, and it's an even cost, and it affects your own stuff. Don't like it. Cute idea.
4 for 4 on those ones. Speaking of 4, that brings us to Vengeful Spirit, which is a 4-mana 4/4 with Outcast. Draw 2 Death Rattle minions. So, if Death Rattle Demon Hunter is a thing in Wild and it's not odd, then like Vengeful Spirit gets run. But it won't be. Like, like it just flat out it won't be. This is too slow. Like, even if we're running a Death Rattle Demon Hunter that's not odd and all that good stuff, it's a 4-mana 4/4 that has to be Outcast in order to get that draw. Demon Hunter already has a ton of draw. That's one of its like really strong suits, particularly in the Initiate set, which yes is rotating from standard, but like we get to keep that stuff.
Right.
So like, I'm gonna play this in standard, but in Wild, like, no, this is a 1 for me for Wild for sure. What do you think, Hydra?
Everything you just said, 1. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, I gave this a 1 as well. I may be giving these cards a 1. I'm definitely going to play them just to catch up on some Demon Hunter wins. Hopefully I get some wins, but...
Wins is the key word.
I said plural. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, I gave it a 1 as well. It's a 4-mana 4/4. It's too hard to proc. It'll be played in standard is where I see it.
Yeah.
One card that might not even be played in standard is Curtis Ashford, which is a 4-mana 3/4 legendary minion with Battle Cry. Attack the left and rightmost enemy minions. Outcast, immune this turn. Like, I don't know. This may be played in standard, but like in Wild, it's not odd. It has to be Outcast to not just be like a 4-mana attack 1 or 2 things and maybe possibly live if you're freaking lucky. But you won't be lucky at that. Like, we're not playing Curtis in Wild. Like, we're just not. Like, I want to be wrong, but I don't think I am. Curtis is a big old 1 for me. What do you think, Hydra?
I'm not playing this card at all. 1 for me. Sorry, Curtis. I'm sure you're nice.
Yeah. I think I gave it a 2. I'm not with it.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 as well. I think that the effect is super cool. Okay, like I love the idea of attack the left and the right. Like that's like straight from Battlegrounds, right? And so, you know, I will say with Demon Hunter being relatively low to the ground, that getting the Outcast is not super difficult. If this was odd, I would I would have given it a much different score probably. But it's gonna be it's gonna be a long time before we're playing even cost Demon Hunter cards in Wild, and so I do think that it's like I will play this in Standard for sure. It's if nothing else is a 4-mana board clear, assuming it doesn't die. You know, you have to get the Outcast is the tricky part. So I mean, I'll give it a 2. I think it's fringe, like. It's super cool. I just have a difficult time seeing where it's going to slot in Wild.
Yeah. Shout out to Curtis for being the logo right here for Demon Hunter. Beautiful graphic, Nate. Beautiful graphic.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the art is amazing. And whenever we're complimenting the art. That brings us to Death Speaker Blackthorne, the final card for Demon Hunter. Death Speaker Blackthorne is a 7-mana 3/6 minion. With Battle Cry, summon 3 Death Rattle minions that cost 5 or less from your deck. So this recruits them from your deck, pulls them out of your deck, thins your deck. They don't have to be in your hand. That I think is key. Like, this would get a 1 from me if it was from your hand. As it is, it's stupid expensive. The stats, it's a 3/6. A 3/6 for 7. Now, if you're pulling like a whole lot of big stuff from your deck, like, all right, that's something that we'll probably do in Standard. That is something that we will probably do in Standard. For Wild, I think it's just too slow. Like, I'm definitely going to be trying out like a Death Rattle Demon Hunter in Wild and Standard for sure. But like, am I going to include Death Speaker Blackthorne? I don't know that I am. Like, maybe if I'm going all in on Death Rattle, maybe. So like the fact that there are so many Death Rattle synergies, yeah, maybe. But gosh, its stats are just abysmal. So I'm gonna give it a 2 just because I really want it to work, but like I don't have high hopes. What do you think, Hydra?
Yeah, based on the fact that the cards come from your deck, I'm gonna give it a 2 just because of the whole deck thing thinning, and as No Life King points out in chat that it can pull your Stalag and Fugan. So I'm gonna call this fringe playable for fun. So 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 based on the fact that it pulls from your deck. So now we're talking about options for minions such as Sludge Belcher and things of that nature. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. I mean, I think that my problem with it is like it's slow as dirt. I mean, for 7 mana, I should be getting at least a 7/7. Granted, it's gonna pull 3 minions, but what Demon Hunter wants to do is hit you in the face, right? And so it's a new archetype. I mean, I really want this to work. I love the idea. I'm not totally sold. Like it's really slow, and so it needs to be proactive for me. And so if this is pulling a leper gnome and a bird, then like I'm not real happy with that. But if it's a kind of a build around, and so I will say 2 as fringe playable.
So that rounds out our Demon Hunter cards. So now I'm going to kick it off to Hydra for our Druid cards.